Greetings, I'm Sandra, and I'm 31 years old. A few months ago, I went through a divorce with my husband, Kevin. We met back in college, seated together in a few classes, which led to conversations and, eventually, a deep and genuine love. Despite our strong bond,
we faced a significant challenge.
Kevin's mother, Amy, took an immediate dislike to me and frequently tried to drive a wedge between us. I attempted to address Amy's behavior with Kevin, but he struggled to confront her, having always relied on her throughout his life. Despite my efforts to overlook her harsh comments and criticisms, which were painful, I suspected Kevin might be sharing things about me with her, only worsening my frustration. This led to frequent disagreements between us, but eventually, Kevin agreed to keep our personal life more private from her. After 2 years of dating, we decided to marry. Amy's attempts to disrupt our relationship were unsuccessful, so she escalated her efforts by pushing for a divorce. Despite this, we chose to distance ourselves from her, which brought a sense of relief. Both Kevin and I advanced in our careers, with my salary surpassing his. We adjusted our finances to a 55-45 split, with me covering the larger share. Though we were content, I felt a personal void and a desire to do more with my time. Given my passion for design, I considered pursuing something fulfilling that I could manage from home. Web design seemed like the perfect fit. I secretly enrolled in courses and invested in the necessary equipment, planning to surprise Kevin with my progress. My projects remained a secret, shared only with my close friend Mary. This new venture marked the beginning of an exciting chapter in my life. Are you diving into another hobby that you'll soon abandon? Someone asked skeptically. But this time feels different. I'm genuinely hopeful, I replied. I'm aiming to earn a good income from it. You're planning to make money from it? That's new, tell me more, they urged. Well, you know how much I love design and creativity. It's not painting, though, that's too exhausting for me. I've started exploring web design,
I said with enthusiasm.
That sounds promising. Web design is indeed a lucrative field, they agreed. Yes, I've completed a few courses and am eager to start working. I'm even considering launching my own business, I shared. Starting your own business, huh? I imagined you'd join a design firm, they remarked. That seems a bit too conventional for me. I fear I'd lose interest quickly, I confessed. However, I have a few friends who are entrepreneurs and could use help with designing their logos and websites. That sounds brilliant, they exclaimed. With Mary's introductions, I began working with some affluent clients willing to take a chance on a newcomer. Despite my initial inexperience, they were impressed with my work, leading to more referrals and a significant increase in my income from this side project. This financial boost greatly eased our situation. I started saving, hoping to surprise Kevin with something special. However, whenever I tried to discuss it, he seemed uninterested or too busy. I began to sense something was amiss with Kevin, especially when he admitted to spending all his money on investments right after payday. Despite a minor argument, we managed to get by that month with extra effort on my part. But when the same issue occurred the following month, my frustration peaked. I hoped that my stern words would prompt him to be more responsible, but the pattern continued, leaving me exasperated yet even more determined to be cautious. Meanwhile, my web design venture was thriving, proving to be more than just a passing hobby but a rewarding and fulfilling career. By the third consecutive month of Kevin being broke, my patience was exhausted. How could you let this happen again? Haven't you learned anything? I confronted him, my voice tinged with disbelief and frustration. Kevin attempted to justify his actions. I'm just trying to maximize our returns.
But yes,
I've made some mistakes. Mistakes? You're losing your entire paycheck on these investments and now you're depending on me to bail us out again, I pointed out, my voice firm. Kevin seemed to think it was manageable. You've got your income, right? We'll just keep going as we have been. No, I can't keep doing this. I won't cover for you this month. You need to sort out your expenses, I declared, drawing a firm line. What? You can't just leave me without money, he protested. Well, you shouldn't have squandered your paycheck if you wanted to avoid this situation. There's always public transport. It's not about looking poor, it's about facing the consequences of your actions, I explained, hoping to instill some responsibility. Kevin lashed out, accusing me of being selfish and ruthless for not supporting him as his wife. How could you do this to your husband? He charged. And what about what I've done to cover your losses? Can't you see things from my perspective? I tried to make him understand the strain his actions were putting on both our finances and our relationship. But Kevin refused to see reason. You don't have a perspective I can understand, he said before storming out. Left alone, I couldn't help but suspect Amy's influence behind Kevin's sudden change in behavior. determined to find out more. I decided to investigate while Kevin was away. I discovered he had saved his bank account password on my laptop. To my shock, his account balance was healthy, contrary to his claims. The transaction history revealed no signs of the reckless spending he described. Confused and seeking answers, I checked his messages and found a conversation with his mother, Amy. From their exchange, it was clear Kevin had lied about the reasons for our argument, painting me in a negative light. Amy's response indicated she was more than willing to believe the worst about me, confirming my suspicions that she was influencing Kevin's behavior. This revelation deepened the mystery of Kevin's actions and Amy's role in our struggles. Further digging into Kevin and Amy's conversation history, I uncovered a few unsettling truths. Amy had been bombarding Kevin with messages, constantly pointing out what she perceived as my flaws, such as being greedy and staying with Kevin solely for his financial resources. This was particularly hurtful since I had been the main financial support in our household. Additionally, Amy's influence on Kevin was more profound than I realized. Kevin had been sharing minor grievances about me with her, and she had only encouraged his dissatisfaction. This was a major factor in Kevin's increasing distance. The final blow came when I discovered their scheme to financially isolate me. Kevin had initially been reluctant, but over time, Amy's persistent encouragement of his complaints led him to agree. He even shared details about my extra work hours and our major argument, using these as justification for their plan. Feeling deeply betrayed, I turned to Mary, my trusted confidant, for support and perspective. Arriving at her doorstep close to midnight, her concern was evident as she welcomed me in and offered a glass of wine. Mary listened intently as I recounted my discoveries. "It's about Amy and Kevin," I began, my voice tinged with disbelief and pain. "Oh no, what have they done now?"
Mary's expression turned serious.
I explained how Kevin had pretended to squander his money on bad investments, but in reality, he had been withholding financial support on purpose. "Why would he do that? You've been managing most of our expenses," Mary questioned, puzzled. "That's the baffling part. And yes, Amy has been fueling this whole scheme," I confirmed, feeling a mix of anger and heartache. Mary's support was invaluable as I navigated this storm of deceit and manipulation. Her insight provided a glimmer of hope as I grappled with the complexities of lies and betrayal. Amy had no idea of my true earnings, and it seemed Kevin hadn't fully grasped the extent of my financial contributions. It baffled me how he could overlook the crucial role I played in keeping our finances afloat. I confessed to Mary, "I'm at a loss about how to handle this situation." Her response was sharp and straightforward. "Why not cut off his financial support entirely? When he's left with nothing, you can consider divorcing him." "But isn't that a bit harsh?" I wondered aloud. Mary's suggestion seemed too severe for me. "Sandra, he didn't think twice about putting you in this position."
Why should you spare him any consideration?
Mary had a point, but her words also made me pause. "You're exhausted, maybe sleep on it, and we'll talk more tomorrow." Mary was right. The day's events had left me completely drained. Gratefully, the following day was a weekend. We spent it lounging, watching our favorite movies, indulging in delicious food, and simply cherishing each other's presence. Taking this break was necessary, though it was a struggle not to dwell on the recent revelations. However, the respite was interrupted that night by a call from Amy. My heart raced as I debated answering it, but Mary encouraged me to face whatever was coming. "Hello," I answered hesitantly. The call was confrontational from the start. Amy accused me of being after her son's money and cutting him off financially. I defended myself, explaining that Kevin's reckless spending was unsustainable and that I couldn't keep enabling his poor financial decisions indefinitely. Amy then shockingly revealed that this was all a test she had devised to see if I would leave Kevin over money issues. Her interference had crossed a line, and I was outraged by her audacity to manipulate our lives so extensively. Despite my frustration, Amy's revelation left me desperate to salvage my marriage. "Okay, you know what? I don't want my marriage to end over this. What do you suggest we do to resolve things?" I asked, hoping for a solution that could heal the damage her test had caused. Amy's ultimatum demanded Kevin and me to split our finances evenly, 50-50, which stirred a whirlwind of emotions in me, disbelief and fury foremost among them. How could she accuse me of being a gold digger? And worse, how could Kevin support such accusations? Throughout our marriage, I had been the primary financial support, covering for us even amidst Kevin's financial missteps and deceit. Discussing Amy's proposition with Mary, I found a glimmer of hope. Mary noted that splitting expenses equally, including our mortgage and major payments, would undoubtedly strain Kevin. Since Kevin was unaware of my web design side hustle, a secret project I had hoped would surprise him, this venture now served as my safety net. On Tuesday, Mary joined me for moral support, eager to witness the unfolding events. When we arrived home, we found Amy, Kevin, and a lawyer discussing the terms of the contract Amy had proposed. Kevin appeared anxious, trying to catch my eye for a private conversation, but I was too focused on the moment to engage. The contract laid out an equal split of all expenses with a clause explicitly stating that no financial aid would be provided to the other during shortfalls. I signed the document without hesitation, fully aware of the immediate impact on Kevin. The dynamic at home shifted dramatically. Although I initially avoided interacting with Kevin, living together made communication unavoidable. Despite everything, Kevin made efforts to bridge the gap, seeking conversations and showing a desire to reconnect. Kevin's financial struggles began to surface shortly after the contract's enforcement. While initially seeming like a harsh response to Amy's meddling, this arrangement forced a re-evaluation of our marriage's financial dynamics and communication. Though I initially resisted engaging Kevin, his persistent attempts eventually wore me down. I decided to address the situation directly. "We can't keep ignoring each other like this," Kevin pleaded, seeking some form of dialogue. "What do you expect me to say, Kevin?
After everything.
You still sided with that contract to test my intentions?" I retorted, frustration evident in my voice. Kevin's justification seemed weak. "I just wanted to make sure you weren't with me for the money. You know the issues my mom has caused us." I couldn't help but challenge his logic. "And yet you listened to her, even though it's clear she's been nothing but trouble for us. What financial lure do you think I'm supposedly after?" Kevin attempted to extend an olive branch, suggesting he could help me if I faced financial difficulties. "That would defeat the whole purpose of your test, wouldn't it? Besides, I'm managing just fine without breaking our contract," I pointed out, highlighting the absurdity of his position. The situation at home became increasingly strained as Kevin struggled to reconcile his mother's influence with the reality of our deteriorating relationship. The contract not only separated our finances but also exposed a side of Kevin that was willing to jeopardize our marriage over unfounded suspicions. Meanwhile, I embraced the financial freedom the contract provided. No longer burdened with covering Kevin's share of the expenses, I indulged in personal pleasures, dining out, exploring cultural spots, and enjoying life with Mary. Our adventures, shared openly on social media, starkly contrasted with Kevin's constrained circumstances. He often declined invitations, citing financial limitations as his reason. My side gig in web design thrived, allowing me to reduce my hours at my day job, a move that further highlighted the disparity between our financial situations. I even considered quitting my day job to focus entirely on my design work. Watching Kevin struggle, I felt a twinge of sympathy but reminded myself that he had chosen this path.
Even our groceries were split,
emphasizing the divide between us. His side of the pantry and fridge was starkly bare compared to mine, a visual representation of the consequences of his decisions. The climax of our saga arrived with Amy's unexpected visit. The tension was palpable, a culmination of choices and consequences setting the stage for an inevitable confrontation. Returning from an outing with Mary, I was taken aback to find Amy waiting for me. "Oh hi, Amy, what's up?" I greeted, masking my surprise. "Don't play dumb," she snapped. "I know about your scheming. I'm considering calling the police on you for stealing from Kevin." Bewildered, I asked, "Why on earth would I steal from Kevin?" Amy accused me of seeking revenge for the contract ordeal, claiming I was living lavishly while Kevin suffered. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. Kevin barely has any money for me to steal. And remember, it was you who pushed us into this contract, not me. Undeterred, Amy threatened to involve the police. "Go ahead," I challenged, knowing I had done nothing wrong. Her confusion was evident when she questioned how I managed my finances, especially since my job supposedly didn't pay much more than Kevin's. I then revealed my successful side business in web design, which was my actual source of income and the surprise I had intended for Kevin before Amy's interference. "You started a business without telling me?" Amy seemed taken aback, her tone shifting as she inquired about my earnings. "It's been quite profitable," I said, intentionally vague but confident. Accusing me of lying, Amy struggled to grasp the situation's reality. I retorted that her actions had sabotaged any positive outcome her son could have benefited from. In a decisive move, I presented Kevin with divorce papers, which I had prepared shortly after signing the contract. Waiting for the right moment, Kevin's reaction was one of utter shock, whereas Amy, who would typically revel in such a development, appeared furious now, understanding the true cost of her actions. I informed them of my plans to move out in 2 weeks, committing to splitting the remaining loan payments but nothing beyond that. Despite Kevin's pleas,
my mind was made up.
This was the consequence of his choices. Months have passed since that tumultuous period. Amy tried to contest the divorce, but the clear separation of assets outlined in the contract put Kevin at a disadvantage, leading to the sale of our house and his return to live with his mother. In contrast, my life has flourished. My web design business has thrived, collaborating with renowned brands and marking a period of personal and professional growth. It's been a liberating journey, one that has thankfully distanced me from a toxic situation. As for Kevin, I hope he learns from this ordeal, but ultimately, that's no longer my concern.